Rachel, so Bill C-246, which you introduced, would prevent sexual predators from stacking their crimes and walking away with a reduced sentence. Now, can you really explain what this means?
Sure. Well, Hal, thank you so much for giving me the opportunity to talk about my private member's bill. It was just recently tabled in the House of Commons. The short title of the bill is Ending Sentence Reductions for Sexual Predators Act. Essentially, the crux of this bill is this. Right now, when multiple sexual assaults are committed by an individual, they can stack their crimes and pay for only one when perhaps they committed the crime 4, 5, 6 times. And what that does then is, of course, it means that there's no justice for those victims. One voice counted, but what about the other 3? What about the other 4 that were impacted by this individual's crimes? And so, my bill would mean that criminals can no longer stack their crimes. They can no longer pay for their crime concurrently, but rather that they must pay the penalty consecutively, which means multiple sentences will be served one after the other.
Now, you've blasted the federal Liberals in the past, as has your leader, Pierre Poilievre, saying the feds are too soft on crime and prioritize repeat offenders over victims. How does this bill really amend the criminal code and specifically address that, like you said before, with concurrent sentencing here?
For sure. So we would say that the Liberal government has certainly been soft on crime. I'll give you an example. There was a woman who was tragically murdered by her husband this summer in Kelowna. He hunted her down and killed her with a hammer. This happened only moments after he was let out of jail for $500 bail. This is the type of situation that should never happen. An individual like that who has a history of violently offending should not be let out of jail on bail, let alone $500 bail. But it's these types of liberal policies that are resulting in crime skyrocketing across our country, and in particular, violent crime from repeat offenders. And so there's a lot that can be done with regards to sentence reform as well as bail reform that would help strengthen our system. And ultimately, it comes down to making sure that we're putting victims first ahead of criminals. And this is long overdue in our Canadian justice system. We have to be on the side of the innocent. We have to stand up for law-abiding Canadians.
Now, recent studies say over the past decade, Rachel, sexual assaults in Canada are up close to 75%, while offenses against kids are up 120%. So what needs to happen that our justice system ensures that all Canadians are protected?
Well, I think certainly the numbers that you gave are correct. Sexual assault cases are up astronomically over the last 10 years. But I think also what's disturbing is the fact that victims find it very difficult to come forward and tell their story and pursue justice. And the reason why they find it so difficult, there's a few of them, but one is that the justice system is extremely cumbersome. And they feel that they're going to be re-victimized because they're going to have to tell their story again and again and again. And then to not be believed and or to watch the perpetrator get off easy is just extremely hard on an individual's heart and mind and mental health. And so many victims decide just not to go through with it. This is sad. This is really sad because these folks deserve justice. They deserve to have their perpetrator pay for the crime that was committed. And so we have to make changes to the justice system that are going to give victims the confidence that they need in the system to come forward and to pursue justice. This is the type of system that Canadians expect to have. They're absolutely outraged right now by the stories that are taking place day in and day out. Stories that are people's lives impacted, lives taken because of the Liberals' lackadaisical policies with regard to crime.
Now, as we all know, it's extremely tough getting a private member's bill passed in Parliament. What can you do on the Hill to ensure its safe passage?
Well, in order to pass, I would require a majority of members in the House of Commons to vote in favor of it. I am in the process of having conversations with members from all parties and trying to garner their support. This bill is not a partisan issue. It's simply about taking a stand for victims. Mostly it's women that we're standing for, of course, because they are largely the ones that find themselves subject to sexual assault. Um, that shouldn't be partisan. It shouldn't matter whether you're a Liberal or a New Democrat or a Bloc Québécois member. At the end of the day, we should agree as members of Parliament that we need to stand for the dignity and the safety of human beings. And we need to find ourselves on the right side of history, which means to stand with victims. That's where we need to find ourselves. And so my hope is that my colleagues will see that and that they will lend their support to this common sense bill.
Lethbridge Conservative MP and the Shadow Minister for Canadian Identity and Culture, Rachael Thomas, thanks so much for your time today.
Thank you so much for having me, Hal. I appreciate it.